Hey, Drew. I just wanted to ask you about, there's been a lot made about third downs and throwing it short of the sticks or throwing it past the sticks. I wanted to know from a quarterback's perspective, how do you balance, wanting to obviously get the first down on maybe a third and long, but also just taking what's given to you? Because there's a stat out there that basically says you guys, I think, throw short of the sticks 59% of the time this season or something like that. I just want to know from your perspective, how do you balance not forcing that?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. What time of the game it is, where you're out on the field when you're in this third down, um, what kind of protection you have. Is it a 5-man pro? Is it 6-man pro? Are we blocking up with 7? There's a lot that goes into decisions that are made when you're on the field. Obviously, it's in our mind that we're trying to get the first down every time we get to a third down. But, there is a lot that goes into decisions as far as taking care of the football, getting into a guy's hands to let them make a play because, you can't do anything with a sack. You can't do anything with an incompletion. But as long as you're getting the ball in somebody's hands, giving us a chance to get a first down, I don't know if there's much you can ask for besides that.
Let's go, Zach, then Ryan. Go ahead, Zach.
Drew, where do you think you excelled in your first start in almost a year this past week?
Well, for one, we took care of the football. No turnovers. And when you have 0 turnovers in a game, that gives you most of the time the best chance to get a win. Delivered the ball in places that it needed to be delivered. Ran a clean ship. Just being able to get guys the ball, let them make plays, and show the talent that we got around us. We got a lot of talented guys in this offense, and when you're on the field and taking care of the football and getting in these guys' hands, that's definitely our best shot to keep moving the ball and trying to go down and score. So I'd say taking care of the ball, making smart decisions with it, and when the shots were there, taking them, and when they weren't, being smart with it.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Drew, you faced the Chargers for a short stint earlier this season. Does that give you a good starting foundation for studying them, and what did they do well?
Absolutely. You definitely have a feel for them if you've been out there against them, earlier in the year. But, there's a lot of things that are going on right now. There's COVID, there's this and that, there's injuries. So being able to get a good idea on what personnel they're going to put out there will really help us. And then just being able to dive in during the week, you kind of have an idea on what they can do. Just sticking to the same prep that you've taken weeks before into this week. I'm excited to be able to dive in as a starter again against a really good defense. There's a lot that goes into the prep every single week, but it does help, like you said, to play them a little bit, kind of have a feel for who they are and how to attack them the second time around.
Thanks.
Let's go, Andrew, then Brandon. Go ahead, Andrew.
Drew, you had some big plays off of play action under center on Sunday, and you've shown that in the past. That's an area you do very well. So kind of from your perspective, why does play action, the play fake boot action coming from out of under center work so well for you?
Well, most of the time it comes off of, establishing a run game. When you have a run game that, teams can look at and be like, wow, we really got to focus on how we're going to stop this to not let us just walk down the field by running the ball. That's when the play action opens up. When you have Javonte and when you have Melvin, that just kind of makes our job in the play action easy. It also gives me a little space to move around the pocket when you move the pocket a little bit on certain play action passes, when you end up taking 7 steps out from under center, or sometimes 8 or 9. It just allows me to kind of be fluent, move around, help us out in the pocket to let these guys start running around. And when you have guys like Jerry, when you have guys like Cortland and Tim, who, when you let these guys get full speed, make the cuts that they do, it makes my job easy to be able to put it down the field to guys like that when I get to move around a little bit and, kind of buy some time if we need it.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Drew, you kind of touched on diving in as a starter again, and Vic said it looks like you're going to start. So I guess my question is, what do you see after watching the tape Sunday that you can build on, and I guess how excited are you to have the chance to come out and take another test this week, if you will?
I think the thing for me was just with it being your first start, there's sometimes a little nerve, sometimes a little rustiness, sometimes a little this and a little that. There's just a lot that goes into starting a game as an NFL quarterback. And, I didn't think I felt any of that when I went out there. Felt like I've been playing all year. And, when you get to feel like that as a quarterback, that brings, comfortableness. You get a lot of, positive thoughts in the head, so to say. It felt good to be out there. There was zero nerves, zero anxiety, zero anything. So looking forward to being able to go back out there feeling that way, feeling confident, knowing the game plan extremely well, and trying to get these guys the balls around me and just making plays when I'm out there.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Hey, Drew, how much tougher was it in Las Vegas just with that lack of run game? And how does that run game kind of get back on the rails, you think, this week?
I think every team, every Sunday, has to establish a run game. And when, you have some trouble with it, it does make it a little difficult. But if you watch all of our games throughout this year, there has been very minimal times where the run game has not been awesome. You give the ball to Javonte, he'll go break 3 tackles, pick up 6 yards. Melvin splitting holes. So it was one of those days. It was one of those days in my eyes. We're going to get back on track. We're going to bust our butt in practice this week and get those guys back rolling. The offensive line is ready to go out there and kind of prove some of the negative things that have been said about them wrong. And I'm excited for them to go out there and show that.
We've got time for 3 more. Let's go ahead with Arnie.
Hey, Drew, Vic was saying a little bit earlier that he expects Jerry Jeudy to have a big game this weekend. He's had a little bit of a quiet season after coming back from injury. What would it mean to scheme him open and to get him involved? What would that mean to kind of provide a boost to this offense?
Yeah, I know it would mean a lot to the whole offense. You got a playmaker like that when you get him the ball in space and let him do what he does best. He's one of the best route runners. He's the best route runner I've ever seen. He's one of the best route runners in this league. And, I think we're going to, we should take advantage of it. And I know he wants us to do that. He's a guy that, if he could get the ball in his hands every play, he'd love that. He'd love that for this team. He'd love that for, us being able to move the ball on the field, whatever it may be. But, if it were to be a big week for Jerry, it wouldn't surprise any of us on this team. We know he's ready whenever his number gets called. And if his number gets called a little bit more this week, then he'll be ready for it too.
Thanks.
Last 2, Troy, and then Mike. Go ahead, Troy.
Drew, you had said in camp, at the end of camp, you wanted to be a calculated gunslinger. We saw the calculated part in Vegas. No turnovers, ran the operation well. Are you hopeful some deep strikes will emerge? And how much would it mean to be in charge of helping this team break the streak of losing seasons, absent of the playoff talk? But how much would it mean for this team to win out and have a winning record? First off,
that's the number one goal for us, is to win these next 2 games. We're preparing like it's still playoff games for us. That's how important these last 2 wins are. That's how important those last 2 wins are to me, and I know for the rest of this team. That's goal and objective number 1. No matter what happens, win these next 2 games. But as far as the shots downfield and whatnot, we called some in that game. We took a shot early in that game to Cortland, was off by just a little bit, got the one to Jerry, and then had to make some decisions like I had talked about, if they're not exactly there, it's best for me to somehow get the ball into somebody's hands underneath and let them make a play. This week, if we do have shots called, it's going to be the same approach for me. If it's there and we have time, I'm going to get it to these guys. I'm not afraid to throw it up to Cortland or Tim or whoever it might be. But at the same time, understanding that moving the sticks on first and second down, putting us in better situations for these third downs that we've talked about is pivotal for any offense. Staying out of second or third and long, staying out of second and long, just being able to move the chains is my biggest priority, and doing that smartly, so to say.
Finish this off, Mike.
Yeah, Drew, I was just wondering, you've already had quite a few stages in your 3-year career with, kind of redshirting at first, breaking in. You're the franchise guy last year, back up. Are you looking at this as an audition to kind of show the Broncos that you are a starter? You're not a backup in this league?
I think the most important thing is, to show the guys around me and as far as players, as far as the offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, the defense, and, to show myself. Whether or not the Broncos look at it in whatever light they may, that's up to them. That's talk for after the season. It's really on my mind to go out and play this game well, get a win for this team, for this state, for this organization, and then whatever it may be as far as analyzing my play, we'll let that ride until the end of this year.
Drew, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate you.